Today's video, chain and sprockets. So here's the front sprocket that was on our bike, on the O2. You can see that these teeth are hooked because of the wear that's been going on. So this is clearly wore out. That's how they're not supposed to look. All right, here's the new one. That's what they're supposed to look like. It's supposed to be nice and even in here. So if your sprockets look like this, you need to get a new one. All right, guys. So this chain here, this is the one that came off of the O2 CR250. Now this chain, you can see, is completely worn. You're able to bend it and do all sorts of stuff. And this is not the way it's supposed to bend. Obviously the sprockets go in here, but that much bend. Now this is the brand new chain we're putting on, and it's stiff. You can't bend it. So what's actually happening, let me show you guys. So, if I can get my hand behind it, try and show you. So, each one of these has a pin, and that pin goes through two holes, a hole up here and a hole down here. Well, basically, that hole, look at the amount of play. They're basically two egg-shaped circles that aren't circles anymore. And if there's that much play in one link, when you have your 120 links on there, it's going to be substantial. All right, so we gotta get the old sprocket off. So since we, did the bearings, put new rubber on, did all sorts of stuff with this tire, now that the sprocket's off, is a really good time to get in here and clean this hub as best we can. It's always a pain in the butt when you got the spokes on, but we don't plan on pulling the hub out of the tire on this one. So I'm gonna take a few minutes, clean this up, and then install the new sprocket and keep on going. So whenever I redo a bike, I always put new chain tensioners in. And the reason I do that is because everybody, for some reason, has used the wrong size wrenches to loosen it. I don't know if guys don't know that dirt bikes, like Japanese dirt bikes, they're metric. So that could be the problem, but they end up stripping the nut and this. So what I'm gonna do is chase the threads with this cheap little thread chaser rather than using my taps and die set. Just chase the threads really good and then install the new ones with a little bit of anti-seize. So just take a little bit of anti-seize, put it on the end of the threads there, and then just start threading it in. That anti-seize will work its way all on and be in there the whole life of the bike, hopefully. At least help the next guy down the road. Well, we got the rim pretty much cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead and install this new dual sprocket. So these sprockets, I don't know if you guys can see, the inside part's aluminum, but you got a nice steel outside that's harder and doesn't wear out as easy. So we're gonna give this one a go. You just line it up. And we got some new hardware, so we're not going to use any of the old stuff. So I've seen it before where I've taken the sprocket off and guys have put anti-seize on, where when you buy the bolts, new set of bolts, they come with red Loctite. Now obviously you don't want them breaking free, so if you're going to reuse your bolts, you add some Loctite. We're going directly across. We're not tightening them 100% yet, just snugging them up. There's a torque spec for your sprocket bolts. So, you got a torque wrench. If you don't, it's probably a tool you should try to invest in. Maybe one of your buddies have one, you can borrow it. But axle bolts, you know, sprocket bolts, all sorts of stuff on your dirt bike needs a torque spec. And it's kind of important that they get it. All right, so I checked the book, and the torque spec on these is 24 foot-pounds. So we're gonna torque them in a cross pattern, you know, all over to 24. And the torque wrench clips when you got that. I don't know if you guys can hear it. All right, we're gonna install the new front sprocket. Look at this sprocket here. Has these indents. Okay, the one side's in, the other side's raised. This raised side goes out. It's got the writing on it. Just like that. Guys, when it comes to installing the rear tire, make sure you don't forget your wheel spacers. Put them back in the tire. Take them off the axle, put them in the tire. Leave your block on because it has to go in from this way. We're gonna grease this axle up just to help us out a bit, and then we'll get it all back together. But first we're gonna kind of get it back in the bike, you know, around the caliper, right, just like that. I'm trying not to get grease everywhere, but I think we all know how well that goes. It's a lot easier to get it all over you than it seems to trying to keep it off you. We got the axle through. Put another spacer bolt, our washer. We're actually gonna put a brand new nut on because it came in our kit. It actually came with a nut and a washer, so we'll do them both. Make it look fancy. And remember, the nut always on the same side as the disc. You know, the right side, your right hand side. All right, guys, now it's just a matter of running the chain. So we've looped it over the rear, running it up on the new guide. Move the rag out of the way here. It's blocking our intake. Come over top of the sprocket. Bike's in neutral, so we're able to wheel it around the sprocket. All right, over the chain roller, the guide. That's where we have to go. I'll try and get out of the way. Through the chain guide. Remember to go through your chain guide. Don't forget this part. It sucks if you do. I've done it, not gonna lie. I've done it. You know? So, this is not where I want to adjust my chain. The chain is supposed to have 114 links. I'm not going to adjust it all the way up either because the sprocket will hit the chain guide. You can adjust yours how you like. Some guys like them further back, some guys like them further forward. So the chain we bought is obviously too long. We buy them at like 120 links or something. I can't remember exactly what they are. But there's lots of play on this chain, you know. We're going to cut our link here and see how that is. So once we know how many links we want to take out, which one we want to push, I like to mark it. This paint marker is getting wore out, but I like to mark that that's the one I'm going to push. So I can take these links off, and then when I put the master in, it'll hook up perfect. So we got a chain brake tool. You squeeze it, clamps over the link, like so. And as you tighten it, it pushes the pin up. Try and show you guys here. So we've got the one pushed right here. We have to push the other one in order to push this little pin out. So our tool needs to clamp on. See if I can show you. Sorry, see if I can show you there. Let me zoom out a little bit. And then we'll hold it just like this. And we'll tighten it up. And as we tighten it, it pushes the pin clean out. Zoom out a little bit more. So as you can see, it's spreading it apart. Where we're going to be able to take it out, no heat damage, no nothing. All right, pull out the tool. Link fell out. So there is a right and a wrong direction for the master link. Obviously our link comes through the back, but then you have to put the cap on, you know. Do a good job and make the lettering look the same way. And then the master clip, the tire runs this way around the chain, so the tire spins. So the link has to go on this way so that if it goes through the mud, when it comes back, it will come back and not pop the clip off. That's the idea behind it. All right. Got the clip held on there. I'm gonna grab here and here with a pair of pliers on the pin and simply squeeze it on. Hopefully it goes. That's it. All done. When it comes to adjusting the chain, what we're looking for, what I've always done, is I do a 3-finger at the rim. Okay? Now we're way more than 3 fingers at the rim. This chain obviously needs to be adjusted, but they need to be adjusted equally. The notches on here can get you a pretty close indication to where you're at.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff.
Now the bike's off of its own weight right now, so this chain will have to be all pre-adjusted again. Well, hopefully you guys are able to follow along and see. Let's get the chain sprockets on. You know, it's a pretty good move in the right direction. Pretty soon the whole rest of the back end of the bike will be coming together. You know, we get the brakes all suited up. Everything will be ready to go. Anyway, I see a lot of you guys are actually watching the videos and liking it, and a bunch are subscribing, so I really appreciate it. Hopefully if you keep liking the stuff, you know, you keep watching and subscribe, we can see how far we can take this thing. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.